Hello, Lovelace, and welcome to our history lesson for today. Today is all about the religious beliefs of the Anglo-Saxon people and how they changed during that period of time when they lived in Britain. A little bit of reading, first of all, just a little bit of general overview. Many people in Britain knew about Christianity from the Roman times, before the Anglo-Saxons invaded. However, when the Anglo-Saxons came, they brought with them their own religious beliefs. The Christian religion was only then practiced in parts of the country where the Anglo-Saxons had not settled. The religion brought by the Anglo-Saxons was called paganism. The Anglo-Saxons were therefore called pagans. In their religion, which of the following statements do you think are true? So I'm going to pull up a number of statements. Which do you think are true about pagans? The first one, do you think they worshipped lots of different gods and goddesses? Do you think they used wooden temples or woodland clearings to worship? Do you think they believed in magic, including charms, fortune telling, and spells? True or false? Do you think they wore amulets containing good luck charms like animal teeth or shells? Yes or no? They made animal sacrifices to the gods. What about they believed in the existence of dragons, goblins, and elves? And finally, do you think it's true or false that they buried people in graves with their best possessions, as they believed these objects could be taken to the afterlife? Okay, so which of those statements do you think are true for paganists, for people, the Anglo-Saxon pagans? Which of those do you think are true? Let's give you a second to have a think. Well, there you go. They're all true. The pagan Anglo-Saxons believed all of those things. So here are some of the festivals that the pagans would celebrate during the course of the year. See which of these are familiar. See which are similar to festivals that we celebrate in our calendar today. Imbolc, celebrated on February 2nd. Okay. So here, this is a celebration of the mysteries of femininity, the mother, and the pregnant womb. So it's a celebration of mums. It's associated with the goddess Bridget and worshipped with various forms of fire. Quiet togetherness of the family with the colours of pink, red, and white for this festival. So which day of the year is this similar to for us? Well, it's very similar. We see to Mother's Day. Mother's Day is a Sunday. It's not on a set day, it is on a Sunday, but it's a similar celebration, celebrating how wonderful mums are. On March 21st, they have Ostara. And this is a celebration of the bursting of frost and the coming of spring. It's a fertility festival. Fertility symbols include bunnies, eggs, ducklings, and it symbolizes a time of new beginnings. Hot cross buns, symbolizing the sun in its perfect balance of equal night and day, were baked and shared. And birth of the green man, who is complemented by the red maiden, the green maiden, and the red man. These four symbolize the togetherness of mankind with plants and animals in nature. Okay, so a celebration of the coming of spring with bunnies, eggs, and ducklings, and hot cross buns. Which festival do we celebrate? The beginning of spring. Well, it's very similar to our Easter. I know Christians celebrate Easter relating to Christ's death and rebirth, but there's also the Easter celebrations relating to the spring, where you get your chocolate eggs and your chocolate bunnies and things. Okay, so very similar to our Easter celebrations. May 1st, we've got Beltane, also a celebration of fertility and the fullness of spring. Maypoles and flowers. After the maypole is wound, the couples would traditionally go green gowning. Bonfires. Cattle could be purified. Couples could become fertile. People would wear green associated with the colours of the fairies. The marriage of the green man and the red maiden, and the red man and the green maiden, symbolising the togetherness of all nature. Okay? And this is celebrated on May Day. And that's still a bank holiday for us today in our calendar. Litha on June 21st. And this is a celebration of summer and the Earth Mother, or Mother Nature. This was a popular time for marriages, since they believed that this would bring the blessings of the Earth Mother. A time of blessing for the plentiful crops to be harvested later in the year. Okay, so June 21st, this is the summer solstice. Okay, so this is the middle of summer. Now, we don't celebrate the summer solstice particularly anymore, but there are people who do recognize June 21st. Now, this is a tricky one to pronounce. What do we think? Lugnasad, I think, and that's on August the 1st. And this, again, is a celebration of the fullness of summer. Fires, feasting, and games were enjoyed for the whole day. Men and boys would compete in races, wrestling and rowing, and the winners would be in charge of protecting the villages in the coming year. The worship of the green man and the red man in reverence of male energy. So this was a celebration of the men in the village. Okay? Very much like our Father's Day. Mabon, that's September 21st, and this was a celebration of the bounties of the harvest. Beer and wine were served in tribute to the generous harvests. The harvest needed to be shared with the entire village throughout the winter in order to incur the blessing of the gods. Okay, so this is very similar to our harvest festivals, where we celebrate the crops being brought in and give thanks for the food we've got to see us through the winter months. Samhain, November the 1st, the celebration of the death of summer and the end of harvest. It was believed that the dead could cross over and be with the living. Food and drink were set out for the spirits who were guided by lights and torches. Death of the green man. In some cultures, the man from the village was chosen to represent the green man and would be ritualistically sacrificed. Witches' Sabbath, the time of year for witchcraft to be prevalent, as the witches could conduct seances and have conferences with the dead. Okay, so strong links with the afterlife and people who've been lost, and an opportunity for them to maybe come back and be with the living. Now, the day before this, or the evening before this, we have All Hallows Eve, Halloween, a very similar festival at a similar time of year. So again, big similarities between the Anglo-Saxon pagan festivals and some of the ones that we still celebrate today. Yule might be a word you're familiar with. December the 21st. This is a celebration of the slumber of the earth coming to an end and the celebration of the birth of the sun god out of night. Candlemas. Candles were lit during the longest night of the year. Yule logs. 2 Yule logs were burnt, one from the previous year and one for the new year. This symbolized burning out the old year and burning in the new year. And children will be led from house to house with gifts of clove-spiked apples and oranges. Okay, so this is a little bit of a mix of what we think of as Christmas and the Advent period and New Year, because we've got the gifts to the children, apples and oranges with the little cloves in them, and we've got the Yule logs, but we've also got the symbolization of the end of one year and the start of a new one. So just like New Year. So a little bit of a mix there of Christmas, Advent, and New Year. But again, some similarities to the festivals that we celebrate today. Now, just really working on the Anglo-Saxon gods, You might be surprised that some of the names of our days of the week come from the pagan gods worshipped by the Anglo-Saxons. So here's our days of the week, Monday through to Sunday. Let's see which ones of these are named after Anglo-Saxon pagan gods. Well, Monday comes from Moon's Day. It's the day of the moon. Tuesday, or Tuesday, is the day of the god of war and combat. So Tu was the Anglo-Saxon god of war. Woden's Day for Wednesday. That's the day of the chief Anglo-Saxon god, Woden. And that's this person here in the picture. Thor's Day comes from the god Thunor or Thunor, the Thursday, Thor's Day. And you might be familiar with Thor from the Avengers movies. But actually, Thor was a Norse god. And you will find that the Norse or Viking gods are very similar to the Anglo-Saxon gods because it's from the same part of Northern Europe. So the different tribes, but they were from the same geographical area, from the same collection of countries, celebrated very similar gods. So Thor, you know from your Vikings and your Norse history, but was also celebrated by the Anglo-Saxons. So Thursday becomes Thor's Day. Friday is Frigg's Day, the day of the goddess Frigg. Okay, one of the female gods or goddesses, I should say. Saturday is from Saturn's Day, the day of the Roman god Saturn. So that one does not come from the Anglo-Saxons. And then Sunday, surprise, surprise, is Sun's Day, the day of the sun. And that's from the Old Norse Sol. Okay, so quite a few of our days coming from the Anglo-Saxon pagan gods. Now, paganism was something that the Catholic Pope in Rome didn't particularly like. And he wanted the people of Britain, all the people in Britain, including the Anglo-Saxons, to become Christian. So he sent monks to teach the people all about Christianity. The first one he sent was St. Columba. Now, St. Columba was the first to try, and in 563 AD, he headed to Britain and built a monastery on the Isle of Iona, off the west coast of Scotland. Now, he was successful in converting many of the Scots, but he was too far away to affect the Anglo-Saxons in England. It was much too big a journey. He had chosen to put his monastery on one of the Outer Hebrides, on one of the islands off the coast of Scotland. It was a long way away from people. So it wasn't a particularly good idea, not a really good location. But he was successful in converting many of the Scots to Christianity. The next of the Pope's monks to be sent was St. Augustine. Now, St. Augustine was next. Now, he arrived in 597 AD. And whilst in Britain, he was able to convert a king to Christianity, together with a number of the king's friends. He also built Canterbury Cathedral with a little bit of help. Obviously, he didn't build that all by himself. But unfortunately, St. Augustine liked the trappings of wealth. He enjoyed being around the kings and the barons and the knights and the earls and the dukes and all the king's friends, powerful friends. And so really that was as far as he got, because most ordinary Anglo-Saxons remained pagans. They were not influenced by what St. Augustine had been doing. Finally, we have St. Aidan. He was the last of the three. And in 634 AD, he built a monastery on Lindisfarne, an island off the coast of Northumbria in northeast England. And there you go. That's what it looks like now. But just imagine how spectacular that monastery would have looked back in the year 634. Now, St. Aidan did something that the other monks had not done. He actually went out and spoke to the ordinary people of England, to the Anglo-Saxons, that just Joe average, out on the streets in the villages. And gradually his teachings spread, and England did become a Christian country. So now the Anglo-Saxon Christians, they worship just the one God. So all those gods that they used to follow, now they just worship the one God, like Christians around the world. They believe that Jesus died on the cross and came back to life in order to help people be forgiven by God, that he was a sacrifice. So they no longer had to make animal sacrifices. They now believe that the message of the gospel is good news because believers in Jesus could live forever with God in heaven, the afterlife. They thought of the Bible as the word of God, and they were baptized with water when they became Christians. And finally, they went to wooden churches to worship God and learn about the Bible. Some people actually became monks or nuns and dedicated their life to praying and learning about God. Okay, so for many people, it was a big change in what they believed and the way they behaved as regards their methods of worship. And here we can see some Anglo-Saxons, an Anglo-Saxon king there on the left, and one of the monks delivering his teachings or praying with them. So, your task for today, 3 parts. We're going to go back to the time when the Anglo-Saxons were pagans and they had a number of different gods. What I would like you to do is research one of those gods. Okay? Could be Thor, could be Woden, entirely up to you. There's a whole raft of them for you to explore. So choose one of them. I would like you to explain what they are the god of and how the Anglo-Saxons worship them. What did they do to make their gods happy? And finally, the final part of today's task is to draw the god you've chosen. Okay? Now, there are all sorts of images online. So choose an image that you think you can have a really good go at copying or working from. But I'm really looking forward to some nice artwork here. If you've got a selection of colours at home, then try and use your colours. If you've not, then use your pencil to shade to create darker areas and lighter areas. Probably not the sort of thing where we would use felt tips, because sometimes felt tips don't make a particularly nice mark. Okay, so pencil, coloured pencil, paints, if you've got them, that would be really impressive if you could paint me one of the Anglo-Saxon pagan gods. But just enjoy this. Do a little bit of research, find out about some of these gods, or find out about one of these gods. Tell me who they are and how the people worship them, and have a go at drawing one for me. Okay, that's the end of today's lesson. Good luck with that. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourself, stay safe, and we'll see you all soon.